Hey, this is Brian Whitaker at Whitts Ranch. Going on a little ride with Copper to check on the cattle and see how my new bale unroller worked. More on that later. Copper's been rock solid lately, the last, year or more. He's come a long way, but lately he's just ready to go. You kind of get the go-to horse, and he's almost becoming that. This is just a little Bozalita or Bosalito. I've heard it said both ways. Just putting that on, you just wrap it around the forelock with a half hitch, and it'll stay on there forever. And then to get it off, you just rotate it like counterclockwise, and it comes right off. Just kind of a old traditional gear that does have a purpose. And I think it just looks sharp. So it was a beautiful day today. Sun was bright, shiny, warm. It was probably close to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Earlier in the week, over the weekend, a couple of different snow storms we had, close to a foot, we'll call it. And then over the last few days here, it had melted some, but really nice late winter days here in Minnesota. It's always been a pet peeve of mine. I kind of even did it, let that halter hang. So I always put them up. Can't stand it when I ride by trailers and see those halters laying on the ground. Just a good way to get hung up in them. A horse's leg, and to me, you want to take care of your stuff, and see it laying in the dirt. So this is my Solo Shot 3 camera. It's a GPS camera. The footage just did not end up being what I wanted. It followed me, but it didn't follow me, if that makes sense. It followed me for a little bit, and then it was either way ahead or way behind me. But I still got to keep working with it. So a lot of times I do some groundwork or a lot of groundwork, just depends on the horse. But I had Copper tied up for a couple hours, just doing a lesson, doing different things, and he felt good, and we weren't going to do anything too strenuous, so I just hopped on, got him soft, and rode off, and he just felt great. Felt like he had been warmed up. I do like fresh snowfall. I think it's just fun to ride in. It'd been more fun to ride in if I, got it right away when it was fresh, but spend a lot of time moving it is the only thing, plowing. So this is being recorded off sunglasses. Very bright day, so I had sunglasses, plus it has a camera in it. It's a little shaky, and you realize how much you look around, but it's cool because you have your hands to be able to ride. It's not so intrusive as. So that's a steer I've got totally grass fed. There's another one that I'm going to keep and raise up, and then otherwise most of these are cows, and then there's 3 heifers out there. That cows should have calves mostly in May. You can obviously see the trail that they packed down, and the snow we had I think was Thursday, and then we had some more Saturday night, and this is Thursday. So this is a week after the first snow. See how much they go out here. Those are the tire tracks from this morning. I did it this morning when it was frozen. We get that freeze thaw. It's not very fun time of the year because it thaws a lot during the day and it'll freeze at night and in the morning, and it's really slippery and kind of treacherous. But so in the morning when it was still pretty frozen, I took the tractor out, and I was saying earlier, it's a round bale unroller, and it's got a spike on each end, and it with hydraulics that you can pierce it into the bale, and then it acts like a big wheel that the bale will unroll. And I like feeding this way. As long as I can, I'll do this for the season. When it gets too muddy, of course I can't do it. Mainly I can't do it because I don't want to drive on the pasture. Mainly you can put your nutrients right where you need it, meaning your manure, without having to run a spreader out there. But it'll feed it, it'll unroll it into a thin layer, and they as you can see, they lay on it, which is all part of it. But this is kind of funny here. Copper had a hard time with this. I got one longhorn, and he couldn't figure out what that was. I don't know why. I don't know if because she was laying down. She thought she had to get up, so I just kept riding by. No, you keep sunning yourself. Lay down. So it gives them a place to lay in the sun, because they can lay down in the shelter. But on days like this, it's actually pretty cold to lay in a shelter because you have the breeze and the block in the sun. But see, it unrolled in spots really well, in other spots mainly I think that was the snow. And they'll eat probably 90% of it, and what they don't eat, it'll become basically food for your soil. Those spots here come spring should be growing really well, a little bit greener. So that's the hope. And then of course all your manure will be concentrated on that one area as well. And it'll just save me from doing a bunch of manure spread in the spring, because when it gets like this, I don't want to be sitting in a tractor burning fuel. I'd rather be, I have to be working horses that I have outside, training horses plus my own. And that spot, so that spot on the left is about a week old, that they actually went back and ate through the snow. And then of course on the right's the fresh stuff. And that was pretty interesting to me, that the snow on that stuff on the left, it snowed on there about 10 inches, maybe a foot, somewhere in there. And they went back and ate it. Dug through the snow and ate it. Ate the hay that I'd rolled out previous. There's our property line. Neighbors had corn there this year. It's just a little 9-acre pasture, all grass, that I'm riding in. And then it joins up to a place that I leased out. They put the soybeans. You see how much it drifts, how much the grass catches the snow coming off the cornfield. It always drifts right in that spot in that fence line. There's some years it'll be up over that fence, the drifts. Some of it is, of course, the grass and kind of some of the weeds on the fence line catching the snow, but also when I have left the pasture with a little more grass, it catches all the snow. And it doesn't just the wind doesn't keep blowing it over like most of the plowed up fields are how they look around here. I'm surprised how much the cattle, there's a little grass out there, but they're coming out this far still, and they got plenty of hay to eat, but they still like to look around, try and find some grass. Hondo's always happy running through the snow, whatever else. There's a couple of paddocks that I kept fenced off The paddock furthest over that joins, that is against the plowed field, that's actually some stockpiled grass that I want them to eat this spring, so that there'll be a little bit of old grass with the new green grass coming in. It's not such a shock to their system to eat, because we get really rich green grass here in April, late April, early May. And so we got a little old grass in there that they're kind of forced to eat as well. It's a little easier on their stomachs in the transition. But just trotting across the field a little bit, stretching out. He felt real good. He just moved right off, kept moving, and wasn't silly, and felt super. A little loping here too. It was pretty deep yet, so I just kind of let him go, see what he was going to do, and he stretched out real nice, and then came back down when I asked him to, or really when I just stopped riding him. Stopped nice. It's still probably, some places probably 6-8 inches. There's a little more drifts of a little more snow, but starting to melt. Sun's really strong this time of year. Trotting out a little bit. I like when the cattle come out here. And there was one heifer, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but she was laying in the snow, and it's not super cold right now, and she actually kind of cleaned herself. You could see when she got up, there was a little, she kind of self-cleaning. I like that. No matter how well you keep the shelters bedded, they still can get a little dirty in there. It's not good for their coats. Because we'll get some cold weather. It's supposed to rain, which will be real miserable coming up, so the cleaner the coats, the better insulation and better job they can handle doing the weather. So these here, there's a fence line here, and they got into this corner, and not a big deal. They should know where the gate is, but there's a couple of spots in here where it got real deep, like a Honda almost got stuck in there. Just kind of drifts over, but I just thought I'd push these guys out of here. Gives Copper something to do, and just check them out, make sure they're not in here for a weird reason. But we were just, this is the heifer I meant. She was just laying in the snow, and she gets up, and you see this dirt spot, so it cleaned her off. Got all dirt, how much cleaned her up. She's a nice heifer. Hopefully she'll be a breeder this fall, late summer. And I got a rope and steer in with them as well. Just seeing if I can kind of trail them to the gate that opens up to the big pasture. If they don't go there, no big deal. Just really wanted to move them out of here. To that fence line used to be open. They knocked it down, so I put it back up, knocked it down, I put it back up, and now it's got a pretty good charge to it, because I don't want them getting used to going through a fence line like that. So this group sometimes can't find their way through. And they still have some hay back in their shelter, but so there's off to the right through there, that red building, that's their shelter and their feedlot. It's always open, but there's hay in there, and only one didn't come out. The rest all came out and rather be outside eating hay, and they had plenty of hay in there, same kind of hay, but they just much rather be outside and kind of mimicking eating the pasture with their heads down in the grass, laying in it. It's all be good. I'm anxious to see how those spots where I lay this hay down, where I unroll it, how it'll look. Some people talk about controlling your nutrients. So if you have a spot, like all places do, where your grass maybe needs a little help, you can unroll that hay. So I'll take note of it this summer where maybe I need some help, and unroll some hay in the winter there, maybe a little thicker than most places, to try and get some nutrients there, some manure and urine, all that stuff, without getting too much. And then as they walk in that hay, they push the hay into the soil, which feeds the soil, and all bugs and microbes in there, and you'll get better growth. I just thought taking a few pictures. Just thought I'd push the cattle up to that gate and just let them know that they can go through there. It was a good timing that the other ones were coming through. A couple went over by the water, so that was fine. Just show them the way. Giving us a little job. I said it was such a beautiful day. It's hard to beat the fresh snow and the sun's out. Copper was breathing a little bit. Honda was panting, and you can feel spring coming. Just one little job for the day for one horse. It's nice to get up. There's nothing like checking on cattle on a horse to me. Four-wheelers are fine at times if you're in a hurry or don't have a horse around, but you're checking them from almost below eye level on a four-wheeler, where this way you're up above, and there's something about getting up above them, especially to move them and to check your pastures, check your cattle. Like here, you can see up above, you can just see things a little better, see how they're walking, just see how they're gaining or if they're not gaining well. And they just move better from a horse too. Like, it just didn't take much effort to get these. I just want to move them away, see what they look like. You can see the white one, especially how dirty they kind of get. She's not just totally filthy, but this will help being out here, laying down in that hay and kind of in the snow and cleaning them off. I like them as clean as possible. It does a better job of keeping them dry and warm. Especially now, like I said, when we get this, hopefully it won't come, but we're supposed to get this kind of miserable rain. March can be kind of miserable. Probably my least favorite month, really, because you get winter kind of hanging on with a little bit of spring coming, but it's sort of in the middle and this freeze-thaw cycle. So there'll be a time where I just simply can't have them out on this. But for the most part, all this winter, they certainly were out there a lot in this pasture, and really just started rolling these bales real recent enough where I thought I'm going to do this more often. So I got a bale unroller, and there's definitely a learning curve to that. So loosen them up on a great ride. Thanks for watching.